Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're all well. So, thank you for joining me. So, I was gonna redo my little introduction from this morning to the teaching that I gave Wednesday evening. But I did it so well this morning, it came out pretty well, that I just wanted to sort of replay what I said this morning. So this is kind of going to be a teaching that's kind of live, because I'm going to be listening it with you all, and I will be doing the practice with you all, but it'll be based on a recording from this morning and the recording from Wednesday. And then the final version will be posted on the video section of the website. And it will sort of include all three segments, and then it will be complete. I will be adding something that came to me earlier this afternoon that I wish to add to the teaching. And I'm going to say it at the very end. It was something I felt should be added. And I will do so at the end of the teaching. So when you get towards the end of the Wednesday teaching, where I sort of sign off and say bye-bye, I will come back on live and I will add sort of the last portion, which I feel will make everything complete. So I hope you will enjoy what you hear. There's just one thing I want to add at the beginning. As people who have followed me for a while, I always say, go slow, don't overdo it, learn a practice, and take your time. So I just wanted to iterate that at the beginning, because there's people logging in for the second time for this teaching and may have been practicing it this week. It's a process of getting to know it and taking your time with it, and not pushing too hard at the beginning. Like anything, it's best to sort of ease in and learn. So, without further ado, here it is. Good morning, everyone. I hope you all well. Thank you for joining me this Sunday. There was a very powerful practice done last Wednesday, where I gave a teaching. Normally I try to reserve teachings for Sundays at our normal time, but I felt really called on Wednesday to practice, and what I'm going to share is kind of what flowed through. And I was really curious, why Wednesday? Sometimes it's just me, but I kind of Googled what was going on Wednesday. When sure enough, 6 hours after I started, around 2 a.m. California time, was the spring equinox. And I did a little research as to what goes on with an equinox and why that might have made me feel very charged starting around 3 p.m. to the point I felt compelled to do a prayer practice together. And the equinox is when the sun crosses the celestial equator, moving from south to north. It's considered to be the beginning of spring and the end of winter in the northern hemisphere, and I guess it's the reverse if you're in the southern hemisphere. And the Earth's tilt during this equinox allows for a maximum magnetic reconnection between the Earth's magnetic field and the Sun's interplanetary magnetic field, the IMF field. And this creates increased geomagnetic activity, even if the solar wind strength is the same. It's seen to have a subtle effect on satellite systems, radio signals, and the biological, I can't pronounce this morning, biological rhythms, the circadian and hormonal levels of human beings. And it can affect the nervous system, dreams, emotions, and spiritual perception of people who are either born that way or have done a lot of religious, spiritual, and healing work. And it's considered to be an energetic thinning, a parting of the veil, so to speak. And it has a distinct vibrational shift. What it did for me is it aligned my sephirots. So in a way, I rode the Merkava chariot a little bit. And I felt that sort of activation. And I share this with you, not so much to toot my own horn, because I don't do that. And anybody who teaches really has to watch any sort of ego, because that's where it all tends to go south. And I guess for anyone else on this planet to be properly balanced, you have to watch your ego. But I share that because I like to offer what's possible. You know, when people share things with me, and especially things exactly what I just shared with you, I thought sometimes, boy, what are they smoking? It just seemed so out there. Until I've done work myself, healed my body, acupuncture, mantra work, massage, and things, and aligned my sephirots, cleared my chakras, depending on the level you look at the human body and our minds and emotions. And I started having these experiences. Never on an equinox, that is new for me, but normally on the full and new moons. Those are quite readily perceptible at some level. So I offer that to you, sort of a world that's waiting for us. A world that kind of shows that we're on the right road. And we're able to sense shifts where it's more powerful to pray, where we feel an alignment with Hashem, because we kind of get out of the way. It fixes us in a way for those couple days and helps us on our path. I find it very auspicious on a day that's recognized and celebrated throughout the world. Many indigenous communities, also religious communities. It's considered a very powerful day. That the practice that I'm about to share with you and the teachings kind of came through on that day. It really heightens the practice, and I felt it was very auspicious that I spoke about mantra on that day. And so I wanted to reshare what was transmitted on Wednesday with you all. And I encouraged people who tuned in at sort of the last minute invitation through YouTube. So please do like the page so you could receive these notices. I will in the future practice more during the week. So I hope everybody would receive the invitation. So please do like the page so you could receive these community posts. So I hope people tuned in who listened on Wednesday. It was a lot of information. Some of it, or maybe all of it, is new. And it takes 2 or 3 times to listen to it, to sort of understand what's going on. And it helps to do practice with mantras, sometimes along with the person who's introducing it to you through a recording. Sort of get your sea legs a little bit, an understanding of what's going on, and then you do it on your own. Today, it's sort of quasi-live. The teaching will be recorded. However, I will be listening along with you and doing the practice along with you. So energetically, it's very much going to be as if it were live. And I hope you enjoy it. I found it amazing, all the things that I shared. It really encapsulated teachings from many different teachers, as well as my own understanding through my own practice and what I've discovered. And basically it lined up with what I was taught. And so it's really taught from my perspective of what I've discovered in mantra. And it was really, really complete. And I had no notes. I just wanted to share a couple sentences, maybe a couple minutes of a simple practice, and we just do it together. And it ended up being a complete explanation almost. So there'll be more explanations, and we'll go deeper and in other things in the future. But it's really substantial. And I hope it blesses you and your lives. So here we are, and I will be listening along. And thank you again for joining me this morning. It's always a great honor that you set your time a day. It's a little time apart from your weekend to listen to this and incorporate it into your lives. And I know how busy everyone is. And I do appreciate it. And I really honor everyone's desire to understand religion and themselves and humanity's birthright of spirituality and connecting to something that transcends themselves and is more eternal. It's a very, very beautiful thing. So here we are. Let's hit play here. I hope you all well. So this kind of reminds me when I first started 2 years ago, when I used to have spontaneous practices with very little notice. Kind of harkens back to the good old days when I was just beginning. Tonight, I've been feeling called since the late this afternoon to really practice. Sometimes things just kind of line up and you really feel that there's alignment that's occurring where you can really kind of go deep and really connect, and where you feel, I guess for lack of a better word, powerful. And tonight was one of those nights. I was going to have the practice tomorrow night with advance notice, but it seems to be kind of tonight. So I thank everyone for joining me. And I know many people probably are not attending because it's late in the evening or in the early morning and there's no advance notice. But it will be up on the website for them. So we're going to be practicing the mantras of the name of God. And we're kind of going to let go into it. And I'll be guiding you. I don't know how much I'm going to say. I don't know how long this is going to last. When one practices, one lets go. Especially when you're working with the recitation of a name of God, it's implicitly, I mean, it is intrinsically, yet another complicated word. It is the definition of trustworthy. And you trust that the frequency or the vibration of the blessing that's coming from reciting the name, saying the name, is what you need in that moment. And you let go into the flow. Mantra is a river. It is a river of energy that we create when we recite it. And we learn to just let go into the flow of reciting it, letting go of anything we want, letting go how we're saying it, loudly, softly, slowly, fast. Even letting go whether we're not fully enunciating every syllable. At some point, there's a flow. And you may stop reciting it for a moment and then suddenly start again. You just let go into the natural arising of what's happening without trying to fuss with it, without trying to make it something. What you would like it to be, how you think it should go, how long it should be. You are letting go of any sort of preconception or desire as to anything with regard to it. You get lost in it. And your awareness is placed there, and you see where you go. You are literally generating sacred energy. It moves through your body, it moves through your mind, it moves through your sephirots. It aligns the sephirots. Without you having to intentionally decide what you need to do to align it, it naturally provides the balance that's needed, without you having to figure it out. The mantra of Hashem, of God, literally is the antidote to anything that ails us, that makes us sick, that throws us off, that has us out of balance. Yes? All we have to do is to show up and say it. That's it. We don't have to figure it out. We don't have to figure out how it works. We don't have to do too softly or whatever. If you have several that you're working with, you do the one that you feel you're called to do. Halfway through or two recitations in, it may suddenly shift to another one. I've had periods in my life where I had to do one name for about a minute or two, and then whatever needed to be worked through with that name led me to a different place where I spontaneously would start another name. And it was always the same two names in that order. One was almost a preparation to the main practice, but it was nothing I particularly intended. You can start with one, and this happens a lot with people who are beginning, if they're working with several, and it might just feel, oh, this one's not connecting. Then you intentionally go to the other one, and you find the one where it feels like, oh, that's it for tonight, that's the one. And if you're working with one, and it's still a struggle, that's okay. That's the way it is at the beginning. So you work with it, and you just do it, and just let go. Let go of any resistance, let go in the flow. All you're doing is reciting. You take the breaks that you feel you needed. It should feel good. It shouldn't make you feel manic. It shouldn't anything. It should allow you to rest. People who are more spiritually awake or have done a lot of work, They may see visions. They may be able to connect closer to God. There's a lot of possibilities. Things might come to your mind on how to solve problems that you have. Sometimes it's good to have a little piece of paper or a pen where you quickly scribble things down. Don't get lost in it. Go back to your practice. But sometimes wisdom comes up. You know, nowadays we all have iPhones. Put the recording function up. Hit record when something comes up. Quickly, blah, 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 blah. Just to jar your memory, and you put it there. And then you let go of it, knowing that it's recorded and safe. Right? But it's not even about that. Having that there is nice in case you need it, but it's not about finding solutions. It's not about chewing through things. It's not even about finding healing in certain things, though that most certainly does happen. It's about reciting it and being lost and having the heart of desire to connect with God. Boy, I really launched into it, didn't I? Okay, so what we're going to do, people should kind of stretch. My legs feel very tight. So I'm going to stretch a little bit. There should be a little glass of water, or I have a little Gatorade next to me, right? If you want to bless a sacred object that you would like to wear on your person, a necklace, a ring, you know, prayer beads. If this, you know, you like to recite by moving beads, we can discuss this more in the future. I don't know what I'm going to do about that, but you know, there's 72 names of God. So if you want to do something like that, it's 72 names, it's 72 beads. But not sure what to do. It's not about counting. It's not about anything. Sometimes if you want to bring something like that into your practice and it helps you, then for sure do it. For long periods of my time, I had prayer beads. I don't anymore. I don't feel I need them. But it's nice to have if that's something you want. These are the type of things you can bless. All right? So what you have, you put them on your shrine in front of you. And then at some point you move it closer to you when you do the practice, and will infuse the name of God you're using into the metal. Yes, it works. Yes, it's real. And yes, it's effective. You can bless things using a mantra, and you bring in that spiritual energy and you ask God, Hashem, to put his blessing into it. So when you wear it, you can feel that energy. And the more you bless it with time, the more you ask God to bless it, the more you hold it in your practice and blow into it after or during your mantra practice, the more energy is infused in it. And the more that you treat it in a sacred way, it could always be on your body. It doesn't need to be treated any differently. You could shower with it, everything with it. If you don't take it off, that's fine. But you're always mindful that it's more than a ring. But, you know, you leave it on your hands for everything. It's not a problem. It doesn't need to be treated any differently, but you are mindful that it is a sacred ring. And you always try to maintain, when you look at it, oh, the energy of God's in this. You know, may it bless me. If you have a problem, sometimes I would touch the ring with my other hand and go into my mantra. And I use that as a sort of touchstone to connect with my practice and to connect with God. These are religious, for lack of a better word, talismans. One moment. My cat desperately wishes to go into the other room. Hold on. So, what we're doing is we're empowering ourselves. We empower objects, our rings, things we wish to wear that can bring that energy into our world to keep us aligned, for protection, to feel God's presence, to connect with our practice, our mantra, so we could better carry that energy with us. And also we empower ourselves. By doing the mantra, we become clearer, more intelligent, wiser, more present. We clear bad mitzvah, we clear our karma, we clear our siphirots, we clear our chakras. We align with God, the central channel, the kundalini, the central column. The energy flows into it as we recite. And the more that we do these practices, the more we clear and line up to the point that we can live in a cleaned up place, in a cleaned up way, in a cleaned up energetic body in which we live. That's the power of reciting names. We are working directly with energy. This is why this is the quickest path. You don't have to work with, a little more of this, a little bit of that. You're praying outwards, which is great, asking for blessings. But here you're directly working with energy that you're cultivating through a sacred name. And in a way, you're praying inwards. And that energy that's generated heals extremely fast. It literally provides, it's like a broad spectrum blessing, a broad spectrum antibiotic. It literally does what it needs to be done, and it knows without you necessarily needing to know what it does. It's the perfect healing, and it doesn't matter which name of God you use. It's the one you feel called to. Now, there might be names that are more healing for you, and you go in there and you're ill. Well, obviously you're going to use the healing one, right? You might go there and you feel very threatened, and you find there's a name that's more protective that you use. Well, obviously you'll feel called to use that one, right? Some of us only use one name currently. Well, that's the name, of course, we would use. But then suddenly, as you let go into it, suddenly you're shifting into a whole different one. It could be one that you haven't used in 4 or 5 years. Well, why are you pulling yourself back and stopping you? If you shift into it, shift into it. Keep it on the names of God. People have followed other traditions. Keep it at home base. You bring in energies. Energies are conscious. Energies bring certain things in. Good, bad, not so bad. Things that you're aware of, things that you're not necessarily aware of. So it's a thing. So it needs to be practiced safely. There's nothing more trustworthy than the sacred names of God that come out of the Torah. They're inherently 24 solid karat gold, and they do everything that you need them to do. And by God, they're the most powerful mantras on this planet, period. There are none more powerful, and none the safer, none more safe, and none the more trustworthy. And each time you recite it, it's a prayer. It's a prayer. Each time you recite the name of God, it's a complete prayer. It's a complete act of devotion. It's a complete act of trust. It is a complete act of reaching out to connect with God. It is complete. It's one-stop shopping, so to speak. It has incredible blessings. It gives you great mitzvah. It's the kernel, the nectar, the distilled essence of everything that is God, that is Torah, that is sacred teaching, sacred practices, everything that is sacred and holy in all of existence is distilled in these names. Yes? And they'll manifest in what you need. So don't think you'll be overwhelmed or overpowered. It won't do that. It provides and meets you exactly where you are. right? So if you're learning, don't think you're going to step into a Ferrari and you're going to get scared. That's not what's going to happen. It's literally going to hold you by the hand, and you'll go on a journey with the name. Every name of God is a journey, and you learn how to walk with it, how to live with it, how to grow closer to it. And as you do it more and more, it unlocks to ever deeper blessings, ever deeper power, ever deeper abilities, and ever deeper connection and union with God. It lines us up, clears our sifrotes, unites us with the Shekhinah. And in a way, mantra is literally manifestations of the chariot, the divine chariot. And as we do it, we are infused with it, and we're carried, and we're guided, and ultimately we're led home to Him during our lives, and when we really head home, when we lift from our bodies. So, let's take a few minutes and stretch. If people have sacred items, they could put them on their altar or in front of them. And just be sure to rinse them. If there's a little sage, you put on them so they're clean, energetically neutral. Or if they've already been blessed and they're quite strong, then you don't necessarily need to clean them. And we'll begin in a couple minutes, okay? Light your shrines with a candle and put up the incense when you're ready to begin, and then sit back and then do a little bit your breathing exercise. We'll do it together. And center yourself. So if you're already ready to go, just center yourself. And then we should all light an incense stick in a couple minutes, even if you've already lit one, to kind of bring in that prayer space and that offering to God as we launch in this prayer together. Okay. So what I did is I took the incense that I lit and I moved what I was going to bless over it. So the incense kind of went underneath it and through it. So the incense was kind of moved through the object. Incense carries great blessing, the energy of it. What we're doing is we're infusing energy into the object and hoping it stays in the object, so it brings a blessing and healing when it's attached to our body. Because everything that's attached to our body, especially metals, influences the energy in our body. That's why a lot of people who are very religious, spiritual, wear sacred objects on their person, because it helps balance their energy. So after having a cleansed object, you put incense around it. Especially if you feel it's a very holy, sacred, grounding, beautiful smell, the metal will take that energy into it. And I always like doing that before I bless it. And often, when I'm not wearing something I've blessed, I always put it on my altar. So it stays in a place where it's continually being prayed over. And I often sometimes put the incense over it to reaffirm its sacred nature and to have that sort of incense go through it. There's two things going on here. One, it does become blessed by the nature of the mantra, period. It might be a leap of faith, but that is what is happening. Okay? That's just the spiritual energetic law. Okay? It happens. It's just what it is. It's what happens. Number two, psychologically, if you treat something as sacred in your subconscious and conscious minds, you will view it as such, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you don't treat something with respect, how are you going to feel that it has spiritual power to heal you? By the lack of respect, you're disconnecting yourself from the object energetically. So even if it is blessed, which it is, your lack of treating it with respect and viewing it as being empowered and blessed will cause a disconnection from that. And ultimately, if you don't treat it with respect, the blessing from the object will probably leave. Just what happens. But then, if you're not mindful about something or whatever, you just pray over it and it's back. This is a relationship you have with your sacred objects. And so if you don't wear them, you put them somewhere safe. You just don't throw them in the back of a drawer somewhere. They should be on your altar because they're objects that could infuse into your practice. Okay? So we're going to begin. And I moved what I'm going to bless closer to me so I could reach it while I'm doing the mantra as opposed to being further away on my altar. So I'll give people a minute or two to put the incense over their things. And then we're just going to go into the practice. And if people need to leave, that is fine. Feel free to log off when you need to go. I don't know how long it's going to go for. And, whenever I log off, if you would like to go longer, then feel free. Especially at the beginning, it's important to have these sort of more formal practice where you sit down like the shrine and doing it, in a structured way as you gain the ability. But honestly, you can do the practice on a bus. You can do it Well, when you have the ability, you could do it when you're walking and maybe even driving, but you need to be pretty practiced that you don't lose your attention and have an accident. So I wouldn't recommend it until you're pretty well skilled and you have an understanding on how to work with it and the effect it has on you. But it could be done right before you go to sleep. It could be done in the shower. A very powerful time is to do it in the shower and asking to be cleansed and aligned while the water hits you and you're cleaning your body. That's actually a very, 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 very powerful practice. So there's a lot of opportunities. You could use it to bless your food. You're ill, you could ask it to bless the medicine. I've spoken about that a couple times before. I don't want to go too much into this now because this is not Sunday, and I don't want to give too much on a night which is kind of a last-minute teaching. So, but I believe you're getting a sense that there's a whole lot to a recitation of a divine name and a whole lot that it could bring into our lives. It's one of the first things I taught about a year ago is when I first, no, a year and a half ago is when I first started discussing the names. And, you know, by getting into the practice of concentration, by breathing, aligning up, bringing the object, your mind and your attention back to the object of your meditation, you bring strength to your practice, the ability to focus, the ability to be present. These are skills that make mantra recitation that much more practiced. The calmer your mind, the more present you are in what you're doing, the more powerful the practice will be. But the practice also in itself makes you more present and more mindful as well. So it's a tool to get there. And if you find that your mind has wavered away as you do the practice and you're thinking about something completely off, not related, it's okay. We're all practicing. You just bring it back to the name and you continue saying the name. You could view it as energy moving through your body. You could just say the name. You could say it out loud and then it becomes soft, becomes a whisper. It's just reciting inside. It works through different stages. Eventually, people who have practice in it, it's done silently within. But sometimes you want to bless a space and you want to say it out loud. And you do that because you're putting the energy outward into the physical space through a sound. But if you're further along, you don't even need to say it outward because by saying it inside of you, you could channel it through the energy of your body outwards, not necessarily needing to use the vibrations of your voice. So as you see, there's many different levels, which is what I call spiritual power. But it's like anything. You learn to play tennis, you start, and then you grow and grow and you learn, and everything starts to develop. It's no longer a ball and a racket. It becomes a whole thing that flowers from that. Yes? And so as we practice, mantras begin to bloom within us, and they unlock a whole world of energy. And we become empowered to work with ourselves and our world in an entirely different way. We literally are able to better sit on our horse. And to navigate through our lives and our world with God. Because He's the source and the empowerment of these names. Do you see how it all comes together in one practice? And it's what makes it the most powerful practice one can do. But it doesn't negate any of the other practices. It's a whole buffet of beautiful practices that one can use several of them, or at some points focus more on one or the other. And at some point, they're all equally as powerful, actually, because as you grow closer to God and you're more connected, and there's less things that create a barrier between you and Him, everything actually has that power. We're just not quite aware of it and not quite able to connect with it. And then so many things are really open for us. New things resonate. Even the most simple thing, people are like, why do you do that? That's just so whatever. And you'll be like, that is the most profound thing ever. And they look at you like, how? But you're in a whole different place than they are. And you see it in a whole different way. And for some reason, it calls to you. And it's the most wonderful, amazing, connecting thing that you've done. And so many things become available that weren't before. You notice so many different things that you didn't notice before. It's a whole walk. It becomes a whole part of being. Okay? Alrighty. Are we ready? So get in your comfortable meditation posture. Spine straight. Doesn't matter what posture you take. Be in a chair. It's just try to be straight. If one leg is more one way than the other, 10-15 minutes in, switch to the other side. So there's as much tension on one side of the body as the other. Hands together. Breathe and connect. If people want to do their pranayama practice, they can do it. I'm not going to do it today. But, just do 1 or 2 breaths and that's it. Especially if people are new to mantra, we'll, just start slowly. People, of course, who are much more experienced and do mantra, pranayama practice, then feel free to do the whole thing, or at least as far as what I've taught so far. So for those who are not doing it, just put your fingertips together, line up, breathe, relax, and center. And open. So often when I start slightly out loud for a couple times, and then I go quiet. And, it can go in a rhythm. I don't know. I'm going to let go. And you work with the practice you do. And if what I'm saying is distracting to you or the guidance and you don't wish to hear it, you could just turn down the volume. This is about everybody's practice, and there's great power in practicing together. And, I'm sort of sharing what I've learned and providing guidance. And so feel free, to go back to this a couple times, to pick things up. And then ultimately, it's about you to find the practice in the way about going about it that works for you. There is no right way. It's the way that helps you connect the most. For me, often the deepest, most powerful practice is at night. So I'm not surprised this is happening in the evening so late. But I mainly do most of my practices in the morning because I'm not tired. But if I ever want to go deep and really connect with God, I do it at night. For me, there's a lot of sacredness at night. The quiet, the peace, the stars, the moon, the more quiet energy. It's a time of reflection. It's a holy time. And that sort of environment goes into one's practice. So, say a prayer, ask God to come and be amongst us and to connect with us. And we begin. So for those of you who are really new at this, it's just said softly. So my main practice is Yahweh. So it would go like this. I say that inside without having to say it out loud. But sometimes it's a bare whisper as well. But it's a similar speed as what I'm doing now. And it's often said with I sort of call an underbreath. So it's kind of like this. Yahweh, 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 So it's not so much I'm saying a name, is I'm allowing the flow of the energy to sort of say the name for me, if that makes any sense. It's a rhythm, and you let go into the flow of the syllables, and you just, on the in-breath, and you breathe out-breath, you say it, and then you inhale, and you can say it on the out-breath, but with time, you can say it both on the in and out-breath, and therefore it becomes continuous. But then you could also stop for a while. It doesn't need to be loud. And it could be inside, and it could also be slowly. And it could also be really fast. If you go in really agitated, you could be saying it really fast, and that's fine. The mantra will actually help you slow down. And you try to focus inwards as you're saying it. You're not saying it so much outside of you unless you're trying to bless a room or bless a space, like blessing your meditation space, blessing your altar, blessing sacred objects. You kind of say that out loud towards it. But mantra practice is really something that's internal. It's that inner heart, that inner connection. And so we focus our awareness inside. So often they're recited when you have your eyes closed. It's a dance. Okay, so Let's practice together, my friends. If you're using prayer beads, which for some reason tonight I find myself using, you don't necessarily need to count them. You don't count in the way I was taught. The number doesn't matter. I'll discuss this another day. And it's almost a form of concentration. As you're saying it, it's not necessarily one mantra per bead. You're kind of moving it through. Or it could be one per bead if you wish. But it's entering into the flow, into the recitation. And if you're saying it relatively fast, like I am, then your hands are just moving along with the beads. I've done it so long with the bead that it helps me focus and enter into the prayer and to release. And it also blesses the beads. So you could wear it and then you literally have the energy of all those mantras you said there to help connect, to put you in a prayerful space in the midst of chaos of everyday life. And especially at the beginning, it's helpful. So, let's do this. You could also have your eyes slightly open and looking at the candle. You can view it as the holy presence of God's Shekhinah. And it could really create a very sacred space for you. You know, creating a sacred space by how we create our place, the incense, the candle, creates an environment that makes it easier for us to feel that we are connecting with God as we recite the name. So eyes closed, eyes open, eyes barely open. There is really whatever you feel called to do. But we're working on the recitation of the name, nice and relax. You shouldn't feel amped up about it. It's just an even, smooth flow. you feel you've generated a lot of energy and the mantra is sort of there. You pick up what you wish to bless, and you can do this several times during your practice. You hold it in your right hand. The right hand is where energy leaves your body. Left hand it comes in, the right it leaves. Okay, it's just how it works. And you hold it in your hand as you recite it. You can have your hand near your lap or wherever you want, and you hold it, and you kind of massage the metal as you kind of say the name, and you kind of feel it being infused with the mantra as you recite it. So the mantra is going through your body because it's been said for a while, and then it's going into the metal. And if you're sensitive, you can feel that the metal doesn't quite have the same frequency as your body does, because the energy isn't in the metal yet. So you can put whatever it is in both hands. Move the microphone a little bit further away so I can do this. In front of you, and you rub your palms together with the object in between, creating some friction. So it's in between, kind of rubbing your palms together, and then you say the mantra, and then you blow air from your mouth onto the object. Air, breath is life. It has chi, it has the Shekhinah in it. Breath is literally the embodiment of life. When you have the mantra and you're saying it, the mantra is contained in the breath. When you blow on it, you're empowering and passing life energy through the breath infused with the mantra onto the object. It literally transmits the blessing onto the object. Okay, so you put your hands together, you rub, you say the mantra, and then as you're saying it with a greater exhale, so when you exhale, you're literally exhaling the breath, your hot breath. The breath is hot. It's good that it's hot here. And your hot breath while reciting the mantra onto the object, right? So it's kind of like this. You see? So you do that, you rub the palms together, you're saying the mantra, and then you kind of have it together, but on the top there's a little opening, and that's where you blow while saying the mantra. You don't blow, but you're exhaling the mantra onto the thing while you're moving it. And with your intent, you're infusing and asking the mantra and the blessing of the mantra into the object to make it holy. Do you see? So try that. And if you don't feel the mantras that strong in you, you stop, you do the mantra again in your body, and then you go back and you do it again. And you could do it over the course of days and weeks and months. When I started, I didn't feel too much was happening in the object. But I noticed with time, over the course of weeks or months, the object actually became quite powerful. And interestingly enough, people began to notice it and telling me how the energy vibrated from it. So it's a thing, but it takes time. And as you grow in your capacity to work with mantra, you're able to infuse an object within a couple recitations, but that takes practice and time. So you do it, and then as you recite the mantra, to keep the energy, if it still feels a little sharp, and this object I'm working with has always felt a little sharp to me. It's something about the metal. You hold it in your hand when you're reciting it. So the energy that's in your body that's being made whole is overcoming the energy that's in the metal. because naturally the energy in the body is stronger than the energy in what this is a gold ring I'm holding. So that infuses it. Yes. So you put your hand and then it changes the characteristics of the energy frequency in the metal. And if you're saying the mantra in the same time, that means the mantra that's going through your body is also going through the object. And then occasionally you just bring it up to your lips when you're really strong in the recitation of the name, and you blow the recitation onto the object as you're sort of moving it between your palms. And you could do that off and on and off and on. You're focusing on your mantra, you're doing your practice, and then occasionally you just bring that object you're trying to bless to your lips and you blow the mantra on it. And that's a way to maintain in contact with your practice during the day, because then you wear it and it's a reminder to you of your connection to God, and it's also an energetic connection to your practice, to your prayer, and it brings a blessing with you. So you see on so many multiple levels how having such objects is important. And it has blessings, and it could offer protection. It has divine energy in it. So there's just so many different levels. It makes the practice of mantra practice particularly beautiful and powerful and something extraordinary. Okay? So we'll practice a little more together. You could also move the object in your fingers as you're reciting, kind of moving that energy in, and any other energy that doesn't work out of it. You're literally infusing energy into a metal. But ultimately, that's not the purpose of this practice. The purpose of this practice is to work with God's name and learn to understand and bring that frequency deep within us down to the cellular level. So let's focus, take a couple deep breaths, look at your shrine. We're going to turn inwards. And then we'll have quiet for 15-20 minutes while we each do our practice individually. And then I'll end the practice, and then people can continue or not. And if people need to leave earlier, that's perfectly fine. I appreciate everybody joining me for this. So let's just be with God together for the next 15-20 minutes. So feel free to continue for however long you wish. And then when you're done, express gratitude to God for Him being in your life and for this practice. Show respect to the items that you've blessed. Should consider them now holy. And by saying the mantras, we've also made our bodies holy. They already were holy, but now we've sort of consecrated them, bringing in the life of God's name into it with that practice. And so when we get up, try to keep that energy with you as you go to sleep, or if the day is starting where you are, out into your day. And if you wake up in the middle of the night or during the day, say that mantra a couple times. Reconnect with that energy. The energy, the vibration of God is life. And we're literally bringing life more into our lives. True life, true blessings, to guide us, to heal us, and to bring us an ever closer presence with Him. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to being with you all again soon. So, why don't we take a moment and sort of come back. It's interesting as we do this practice how quickly time flies, isn't it? I have found when using prayer beads, it helps to anchor our attention on the mantra, because there's a sort of physical anchor as you move the beads between your fingers, as you move from one to the other. And one learns how to move it with practice. I'm just taking a moment. That was quite powerful for me. It's very healing and calming and cleansing, and feel very whole. I wanted to say two things. One thing which occurred to me this afternoon, which I will say as the second thing. And the first thing I wanted to say, when things come to your mind as you're reciting a name, an energy, a memory, somebody you wish to pray for, something that you feel energetically needs to be cleared, you just say it. You just say the mantra as you're kind of going through that. Or it's a more advanced practice. But I wanted to say this because, and I'm going to get more into the details of this practice, but the general instruction is just keep saying the mantra and just sending healing vibes. It's like you're directing the mantra to that. The damage inside, somebody is ill, something that needs to be smoothed over, just what it is. There's a whole practice after you do, tiku yourself. That's what I've been teaching. And then you could move doing mantras on things that you wish to kind of help heal by sending out positive energy and the power of the name in that direction. And it actually helps oneself for sure on dealing with that issue, because it heals our emotional or energetic disruption within ourselves. But I believe it also sends that energy to where our intention is at and helps engender healing and a certain equilibrium and wholeness in that. It's a more advanced practice. First we work on getting the abilities, and then we could bring that into our practice with time. But sometimes things come up. It's challenging, something from the memory, strong emotions, right? So you don't lock into it. You remember to breathe, maybe have a little water next to you, and you just recite the mantra and asking the mantra to kind of bathe over that and to heal it, bringing the power of one of Hashem's names into that situation, so it sort of dissipates it. It causes it to just dissolve back from where it came in a more healed way. So I hope that's helpful. So there's one thing, the second thing I wanted to say to kind of make this complete practice. And I really wanted to add this at the end. I actually kind of wrote it into an audio file that transcribed into a note. Thanks to the advances of software nowadays, it's quite easy to do. And so I'm just going to read what sort of came to me and to sort of share this. And then I believe it's a complete teaching after this. So we have to remember that this is a new engine. We may be in the car and we may know how to drive it, but this is turning on a new engine. This is a high octane engine, and we have to learn how to work with it. So we need to go slow and not just do it and go wild and shove it into 6th gear. Mantra, the name, will meet you where you are, but you still need to learn how to maneuver with it, how to stop it, how to go slow, how to work the clutch, how much to push on the accelerator. So, you take your time. You don't worry about it. Everybody will get there. It just takes some time. You learn, you grow, you develop the skills. So if you need to take a break during the practice, even if you've only been doing the practice for 30 seconds, and you feel that you're done for the day, then honor that. My best advice is that you learn by going slow, testing the water, learning how to swim, and then naturally all the mantras and skills will come to you, but it's not forced. Forcing is your ego, because you have an intent or where you would like something to go, and how long it should take you. Frustration possibly that you're not there yet, and so you push to get it there. That's all about you. And you know what could happen if you do that. You can hurt yourself, or you can hurt others with your conduct, words, thoughts, decisions, etc. It's no longer a mantra practice. You're forcing it. Mantra practice is doing the practice, opening to it, feeling it, and letting it do its thing. Which is why it's so important you use the name of God. It has to be 200% trustworthy. It guides you. It orients you. Sometimes it says it's enough. Sometimes it says you need to do a little more. You're not applying yourself enough. But you use your mind and you assess it in an honest way about where you are and what you should do. And you're conscientiousness about it. You're smart about it. If it feels strong and you feel overpowered and you feel you should stop, then maybe take a couple days or however long you feel that you should pause. Or the opposite, or conversely, in a different situation, you may need to feel that you need to do it more often. I could only present this practice and give you guidance about what I learned, but how you go about it is up to you. Each one of us are the drivers in our own lives. We drive our own cars. We are the horsemen or horsewomen riding, and we are creating our lives. And having a relationship with Hashem, with Yahweh, with Emmanuel, with Elohim, with El Shaddai, with Abba, whichever name you wish to use, is really the best co-pilot you can have, the best person on the seat next to you, on the passenger seat. And working with the name really, really brings the energy of God into our lives. But we also learn how to work with it. It is energy. And we learn. We walk into the pool, we learn how to swim, then we swim, then we learn how to dive, then we learn how to go off into the ocean. So it's a process. It's a beautiful one, full of blessings. And I hope today you've had an experience. You have a deeper understanding and hopefully felt something. And it may call to you to do it now. It may not call to you to do this practice. And you do another practice that I've taught or something else. That's fine. But now you know where to find it. And one day it may call to you to start this. So this is merely presented. We'll do more work with this in the spring. And yeah, I think that's what I have to say today. So thank you so much for joining me today. May Yahweh and the names of Yahweh bless us all. May it bless our week, our families, our communities, ourselves, and our world. Amen. I wish you the most wonderful of weeks, and I look forward to being with you all next Sunday. Bye-bye.